Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres. Now obviously, I'm in the greenhouse. Now, if you've been following us, you know we literally just got home like yesterday. And the only thing I've done since then was take a quick peek in here to make sure everything was still alive, which obviously it is. Do we look shaggy? Yeah, you betcha. It's the end of the season. So I would expect to look a little shaggy. I have not worked extremely hard this year to try and control any kind of disease or bugs or anything else. I just let things kind of do their own thing. We had a nice infestation of ladybugs in here earlier, if you could call ladybugs an infestation. And they have done we did not put them in. They came in of their own free will, and they've been having a wonderful time. But as you can see, there are certain plants here that are just really, really full. And our current forecast says we might have a light frost next week. Not a hard freeze, just a light frost. My current plan is just to start harvesting. Before I left, I was not really pleased with the condition of the cucumber plants. So I gave them a good shot of fertilizer, and they are putting out new growth. So what I will do, not today, but probably tomorrow or something, is cut off some of the old growth because it looks just plain crappy, and let the plants focus on this new growth, which is perfectly green and healthy and all that kind of stuff. I don't currently have any cucumbers on there, but I'm not too worried about that. I do have flowers. See, I do have flowers. So with any luck, we will have a couple of cucumbers in the next couple of months, or next couple of weeks rather. I am hoping that I could get a few more cucumbers out of there. Right before I left, I cut all the cucumbers off and turned them into Sunamono salad for Henry, and we took it on a camping trip with us. So now it's a matter of really doing the harvest on some of these. Some of these tomato plants, this one being one of them, this is Invincible, which is determinate. So when a truss is completely done, that's as far as it goes. It's done. These are dwarfs, and this is as big as the plants get, and they're covered with ripe fruit. These are supposed to be that color yellow, and these are supposed to be this color red. So it's just a matter of harvesting. So far, we have not finished our taste testing. We currently have some Tachi and Shelby that we want to taste. There is no doubt in our minds about the Hocinators. Those have turned out to be really pretty darn amazing. They have produced well for us. Our only decisions next year is going to be what we do for paste tomatoes. We, in the past, have grown a gazillion of them, and to be honest, we don't really use that much tomato products in our daily cooking. So we realized we were kind of like overdoing it in terms of production. But I do really like having fresh tomatoes. So I would say for next year, Hocinators is a definite go, because despite not being coddled at all or anything else, having watering problems, we've had very little blossom end rot, and they have done pretty darn well. We are pleased with the quantity of tomatoes that we're getting off the Hocinators for sure. We are moderately pleased with the quantity of other tomatoes that we're getting, like off Invincible and stuff. The big decision for us is, because we have 3 paste tomatoes here, we have Shelby, Tachi, and Invincible, which one of those is really worth growing, and which do we like the flavor of most because that's how we make our decisions on such things. As you can see, there are some monster fruits on this, and this guy is a tachi. There's two tomato plants in here, and they're just full of these big, fat, nummy-looking fruits. We have not tasted the tachi yet, and that's high on our list of things to do. And Shelby's the same way. Or maybe we did... Oh, Henry's calling me. So that was Henry. He had to go pick up Isa from the kennel today. So I'm sure she's been squalling all the way home, so he'll be glad for some privacy and quietness when he gets here. Some of the stuff that's in here I want to harvest fairly soon, like probably the sweet potatoes. We also have sweet potatoes outside. Our peppers, by the way, did really well while we were gone. We have several very nice looking Mamma Mia Rosso peppers over here. I cut off all the decent sized peppers before we left, so we now have a bunch of new ones, which is kind of fun. So we have, yeah, several good size, I mean like that size peppers in here. So that's awesome. The sweet potatoes, they look sort of shaggy. But the sweet potatoes outside look sort of shaggy too, so not too worried about that. In general, I would say, considering we have totally neglected the greenhouse this year, and most everything else, we just really didn't have time to do a lot of fussy gardening, we have gotten some good stuff. Very pleased with the basil that we tried from Johnny's. Pleased as always with the Thai basil. That's just to be able to smell it is enough. The husk cherries did not do as well as we had hoped this year, but we did not anticipate the quantity of aphids and cucumber beetles and everything else that we would have to deal with. So one of the things we're going to have to decide is, are we even going to keep the plants at this point? I'm actually not seeing much new fruit on it. So we might just toss those. Although they do have some new sprouts, of course, you know. That's always the way it goes. You're like, oh, do I keep this? Do I get rid of it? There's a piece of me that just wants to clean this up at this point, because it just looks ratty. And once the leaves have been all chewed up, of course, by cucumber beetles, they're never going to look nice again. So I have to decide on that. Totally thrilled with my nasturtium flowers. They are making beautiful nasturtium flowers. If you can see I think you can see down here. They're running all over the place. It's a little crazy, but that's okay. Crazy is fine. Amanda Orange has done moderately well for us this year. We had another tomato sandwich festival at lunchtime today with some Amanda Orange. And I don't think of them as a heavy producer, but they do some really wonderful tomatoes. So you kind of sit there and go, yeah, it's worth it having it just for the flavor. Not that Halcinator doesn't have great flavor, because they certainly do, and they have big enough fruits so that you can have a really nice tomato sandwich out of the deal. So I would say that considering everything was so intensely crazy this year, we did really well. We have lost some Halcinators to blossom end rot because we had problems with the irrigation system here. And I can see that this one also has a split on it, which means it won't hold well. But it's not their fault. They were kind of abused. So I think a tomato just fell down. Did the tomato just fall down? Yes, it did. I was trying to move it to see if it was ripe, but it fell off the vine. I guess that means it's ripe. Yeah. So I just need to harvest a bunch of this stuff and kind of decide what goes next. My time that I had trouble getting going has finally got some healthy little plants in here. And I am probably just going to leave them because I want to transplant into a couple of different spots in the garden next year, but this is not the time to be transplanting things into the garden. So I will probably just leave these guys in here. I've got at least 3 healthy little clusters of thyme, which is great because I want to plant them in different areas. One of the things we've learned that in a climate as difficult as ours, if you have 3 or 4 plants and you can plant them around the yard, chances are that not all 3 or 4 of them will be killed by bad luck or weather or whatever. So it's not a bad plan to try different locations, and you never know, especially if you're new at this. There's a ladybug. Yay! Hi, ladybug. You never know, especially if you're new at this, where the plants are actually going to be really happy. So I've done that before with lavender and other herbs, and usually one does better than another, but it gives you options just in case something random happens. So as you can see, it is not a fail. In fact, it is a pretty darn good success, and I need to harvest like 1 million tomatoes. And then we'll need to do some taste testing, and then we need to do some decisions. I've got I want to say 3 buckets of potatoes out in the yard, plus a couple of sweet potato buckets out there, plus the sweet potatoes in here. And I'd sort of like to start rolling those up. So we may just decide to do that and get them rolled up and out of the way. Not 100% sure yet, but I obviously have plenty of cherry tomatoes I need to harvest. I think I'll go ahead and get that done because we might just make a cherry tomato salad for dinner tonight. That'd be a good, tasty thing to have. So, it's not a fail. It's not pretty, but it's not a fail. And that was what we were hoping for. I mean, we really, I don't want to say neglected, but we really did not coddle this stuff at all this year. It's been running on automatic or semi-automatic most of the summer and fall. We wound up with aphids. We wound up with cucumber beetle infestations. And we still did okay. More than okay, actually. I've got a whole stack of tomatoes that I harvested right before we left on this last business trip in the freezer so that I can make sauce, because I had a whole stack of them come off ripe just before we left, and I said, I'm not going to waste these. So I just froze them, and that's what you can do. You can just toss them into Ziploc bags, throw them in the freezer. When you have time and it's not so darn hot, you drag them out of the freezer the night before, let them melt, process them, and you have tomato sauce. That's not a bad thing. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because obviously we have lots more that we're going to be doing. I will be getting in here and doing some trimming, harvesting everything, and reporting back on what we think of the various flavors, because we're very happy. Red Robin, these little guys here, we were very happy with this flavor, and we definitely would grow that again. The canary, the yellow canary, has a very citrusy flavor to us. It's fine. We enjoy it. I wouldn't grow it again because it's not exactly what we're looking for. Now, if I was doing a bunch of mixed salads where I wanted yellow and red, I think this would be a superb combination. We don't usually do that, so we may not choose to grow it again next year. But the Red Robins, I mean, it's a tiny little plant. It produced buckets of fruit. They don't split as easily as most of the other cherry tomatoes that we have tried, and we're very pleased with the flavor. So it's a win-win. And we still have to figure out the plum tomato / paste tomato thing. But other than that, definitely. And Hosinator, yeah, that's definitely a win. My only concern had been whether the Hosinators we had from our friends, Deb and Bev, were exceptional because they were grown someplace else, and that ours wouldn't taste as good. But to be honest, ours tastes just as good. So that's awesome, because sometimes tomatoes really can be affected by the quality of the soil and the environment and all the things that have happened to them while they were growing. And these were very consistent in terms of their flavor. So that's excellent news for us, because our soil's not the greatest here, and you can only add so much. So until next time, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Like I said before, I just did say that twice. And until next time, bye. And be sure to keep brainstorming, because obviously we are. Spent the whole day brainstorming today. And that'll make another video, because we have a lot of stuff that we're going to be doing. So bye.